Hey, what's up, guys? Jake here with another episode of On the Rise Music Podcast. Today, we are honored to have special guest and producer, Liam Killen. Huge fan of the music, man. How you been?
Pretty good. You? It's great to be here.
Oh, thank you. We're excited to have you. Heard the stuff you do on YouTube and on Spotify and just your music in general. So yeah, we're really excited to dive in and give the fans more of an insight on who you are as a person.
Yeah, thanks.
Of course. So diving straight into it. When was the moment where when you were growing up and everything? Were you a kid who was really into music, or is this something that you picked up a little bit later on in life?
I started really young. I started as a drummer. I was maybe like 8. I would say 8 or 9 when I started really playing drums. I picked it up. I was always banging on tables, and so my parents bought me a drum kit, and that was like the start of it all. And yeah, it's since then it's kind of evolved. Like I took a break for a while, and then I went to school for music, and I eventually graduated from university for in jazz performance on drums. So it was like I've been doing it pretty much my whole life, and I've been teaching as well, teaching drums. And then there was kind of a shift, and I played in a few bands, and there was one band in particular. The guy was playing. He was producing stuff. What's called stock music. I'm not sure if you know what that is.
A
Do you know
little
what that is?
bit, yeah.
Yeah. So stock music. It's basically like commercial music. So and there's like these giant libraries of tracks that companies will choose from.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it's done now. It's not, there's no like private, or there's a lot less like private hirings and that sort things of that sort. It's mostly just like people going, finding a track and then using it for whatever. So anyways, so I did that for a few years, and then I would say about a year ago I really started pushing the YouTube thing, and that kind of brings us to now. All these, focusing a lot on like electronic music and cool production tools. Like I actually have this regular OP1 and a bunch of other fun tools to work with, and like software and all that kind of stuff. And sort of just like coming full circle here, because I'm going back into the teaching realm, right? Like YouTube is kind of used for teaching, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of all come full circle since the beginning.
Yeah, I mean that's really cool that you felt that you had the need to share with like the knowledge that you have, and to share it with people that just don't know. And for me, I'm a huge advocate of using YouTube as a way to learn. It's super simple. Like if you have like 5-10 minutes of just doing nothing, and you don't want to get started on an episode or like a TV show that you're watching because it's like you don't want to stop in the middle. Then yeah, I just pick up YouTube, and I just whatever's on the explore page, I just look up and I just watch it, because you can even speed it up if you want. Like you have that
Yeah.
you have that opportunity to control like the content that you watch and the stuff that you learn. So that's yeah, that's a great like mindset to have, because I mean you also learn from going to like school for production and school for like just playing music in general. So you want to be able to pass that on to the next generation, or to whoever is willing to learn.
That's it.
So yeah, I mean, like all power to you. Like what you're doing is great. And yeah, I mean, we at On the Rise are fully supporting you, passing on the knowledge to the kids. So
Yeah, totally. Basically anyone who wants to learn.
oh, definitely,
Hopefully,
exactly.
I mean, I hope that I'm getting. Well, actually, I could tell you like my audience. That's the cool thing about YouTube, is that you're able to see like the age of your audience, and it's like I want more kids, sort of in a way, because then they grow up and they get to know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think most of my audience is my age, like between 25 and 35 ish, like that sort of range. And yeah, I'm trying to figure out ways to target like younger people as well. Like I've been hitting up TikTok and all these different like younger platforms.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna if you one song, if you hit TikTok, you're good. Like if you really
That's
just
it.
blow off one song, then yeah, you're chilling.
That's it. I'm just gonna close this window.
Oh, you're good.
I'm not sure if you can hear that, but there's a freaking baby crying. 1 second.
No, you're all good. You're all good.
Okay, cool. We're good.
Now, from what I noticed and from what you're telling me, that you kind of just like you pulled up the little instrument that you use to produce music. It sounds like it's almost fun to you, and it isn't much of a job, even though it can be a job. Is that something that you've always looked at in music? Like you've always wanted to pursue it, but you didn't want to, you wanted it to just always be fun?
Yeah. Yeah, that's sort of the way I've looked at it all the time. Like I haven't looked at it as, because it's basically all I've done. Like I've never had like a legit job. I've just done either teaching music or playing it or touring and all that kind of stuff, you know. And now teaching it again. And yeah, I just don't really want to think of it as a job because it's something I do all the time. Like I work at this point, I work a lot because I'm just trying to build the YouTube channel and kind of make it sustainable. And if I didn't like it, it just wouldn't be worth it to me at all because I'm working so many hours just to like build it at this point, you know. So, and a lot of people, a lot of like I guess entrepreneurial type people, like a lot of YouTubers think the same way, right? You have to enjoy what you're doing or else it's really just not going to be worth it.
Definitely.
Especially on YouTube because it takes like sometimes it takes
Yeah.
years to get it going. And for me it's been pretty quick, so I'm happy with that. And things are already starting to get roll. I've been doing it for like 10 months now, about maybe 10
Oh,
or 11
okay.
months, like doing it I would say full time. It's been an investment for the past like 10 months. And yeah, it's going well. Like I couldn't ask for much more at this point. I see things growing, and that's all I could ask for at this point.
I mean, that's, yeah, great for you, man. Like I've been talking to, or through this show, I've talked to different artists, and the same exact thing. Like you have to just invest in it, and because you're investing in it, it obviously means it's something you're very passionate about, something that you love. So it, like at times it may be difficult because it's like, oh, I'm hitting a roadblock or whatever it may be. But for the most part, like if you love what you're doing, take a small break and you're going to come back to it, and everything's just going to start flowing again because that's what you love doing. You've done that your whole life. And, or even if you
That's
haven't
it.
done it your whole life, it's a passion of yours. So but yeah, I mean, that's
Totally.
great. Like I'm happy for you, man. Like I to do what I love as a job is one of the, it's one of the biggest, is one of my biggest dreams. And I'm hoping that, I mean, us at On the Rise are really pushing for this, like you, like we're pushing for this channel to pop off and start making numbers. So yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, all power to you, man.
yeah,
Appreciate.
that's the way to do it. I think that the only way, like, if any for anyone who's listening, the only advice I could give you for that is like, if especially if you're doing something that you're kind of building yourself, you have to go all
Mhm.
in, and like really put yourself out there and like commit yourself fully to it, or else chances are it's not going to work. You know, like you really have to put a lot of time and effort into making your thing unique and like just like finding your voice and all that kind of stuff, you know, because I'm just realizing now, like in the past couple of weeks, something clicked, and I've realized how important it is to find like your own unique thing
Definitely.
with whatever it is that you're doing. And I know it sounds really general, but it's like as you progress in something, I think you understand more and more what that means.
Hmm.
And it's unique, just like, you know, it's unique to everyone, really. And that's what uniqueness is, right?
Oh, for sure.
It's
Yeah.
unique to everyone.
And that point that you made about people finding something that is like their thing, that, yeah, it's really important, especially now since a lot of us, there's so much uncertainty and there's just so much animosity just going on. I mean, I understand you're in Canada, so it's a little bit, the social climate and the social atmosphere is a little bit different than here in America. But yeah, just in general, there's not a lot of positivity being put out into the world. And
No.
now's the time when you have to really just look out for yourself, and not only look out for yourself, but like also look, like help others out, but put yourself first and understand what makes you happy so that you can give like 100% of your energy and 100% of your time positively towards just energy and the whole world, just putting it out there. But yeah, I've like recently, I'm like really big into fashion. So I started
Oh, cool.
designing stuff. I just like mock-ups and everything, just something to, like, just to take my mind off of whatever I'm doing in the moment, just like if I'm bored, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it definitely, like, that was my thing. Like, you have to find something that'll not really keep you, or just, yeah, basically just keep you sane, and keep you going, and keep you pushing, and keep you fighting every day. Because
That's it.
a lot of times, yeah, you get lost, and you're like, oh, you're stuck in your head, and you don't know how to get out what you want to get out creatively. And yeah, finding music, whatever it may be, working out, who knows, like designing clothes, who knows, just find
Yeah,
something that makes you happy, doesn't hurt anybody, and smile on your face, and no one can really tell you anything about it. So
that's it, man. That's the key to life, I guess. I
exactly.
think
Yeah,
that's what everyone's telling us, right?
that's what they should have said in Monty Python. What is it? The meaning of life. Movies. I watched that last night, and that was funny that you mentioned the key to life, because they do this whole thing. You ever seen Monty Python or no?
Uh, I I saw it a long time. I'm not really good with like movie references, to be honest.
It's all good.
But I saw it like a really long time ago. I don't remember much from it, to be
Yeah,
honest.
so basically they're just like going through like different chapters, stages, whatever, like of life, and at the end they're like the meaning of life. And they're like, there's like these fish that keep coming up, and like, yo, when are they gonna talk about the meaning of life? And just like when you mentioned like, yeah, that's just the key to life, it was just like, oh, they should have talked about that in the movie, even though it came out like
Yeah, right.
years ago, 40 something years ago. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's totally true. You just gotta find something that makes you happy, and put that positivity, redirect it to the outworld, to everyone else in the world.
that's it.
Now
Yeah,
I
people need that now,
oh,
especially.
definitely, definitely. Now earlier you mentioned that, excuse me, that you had noticed like more like people that were a little bit older, that you didn't initially intend to find your YouTube videos. Started watching that. Did you notice like a spike in people during quarantine, like a certain age demographic that started watching it?
Um, I think it stayed pretty consistent for me. Like the age hasn't changed much, but there are some surprising statistics with the ages. Like so yeah, like I said, most of them are my age, around 25 to 35, and then there's like another bracket above that, which is like the next most popular one, and then there's the youngsters, so like 18 to maybe 20, whatever.
Mm.
And then there's like the weirdest one to me is like 65 plus, so people that are like seniors, and that's like, it's not a significant chunk, but it's like maybe 5%. Like, that's a lot.
No, definitely.
That's a lot of people learning about, little. I didn't know that anyone knew about this kind of stuff, like I, like older people, I'm saying, like there's literally baby boomers that are interested in OP1 and like all these cool little gadgets, and it like really threw me off guard. Or the other thing I thought of is that maybe it's just like kids that are using their parents' accounts.
Oh, that's true. Um,
But yeah, either or. I mean, it would be really fun and cool if there was like an older crowd of people using uh, this kind of gear. It would be really interesting. I just wish that they would show themselves, because people would love that. They would love that. Like if a 65 plus year old person posted something on the OP1, people would be eating it up.
oh, definitely, yeah. Um, and like, I mean, like building into that point, and just like adding on to that, I mean, your music doesn't really have like a specific sound, or it does have a specific sound, excuse me, but it doesn't have like, it's not tied to a specific age group. It's kind of, it like is very low. It's lo-fi, so it's very chill. It's very just
Yeah,
easy going. So yeah, I mean, like an older generation like could relate, or not, maybe not relate to it, but they could be like, hey, this is good. Like there's nothing new wave or new age about it. It's just good music that is produced, I mean, creatively, to be completely honest.
right. Yeah, it's like pretty. A lot of my stuff is like quite meat and potatoes. I always call it stuff that's like relatively straightforward, and that's the way I like it. I like for the most part, I like simple music, and yeah, like you said, I've really stepped into the lo-fi realm recently,
Mhm.
and starting to step into like house music, and learning about all these new genres as well. Like there's one called chip tune. You heard of this? Chip tune?
I actually have not. I am guessing that that's newer.
Yeah, I learned about it a couple weeks ago because I use these little guys here. So this is a pocket
Oh,
operator.
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've seen
I'm
those.
sure you've seen this.
Oh, okay.
Like that kind of nerdy stuff that would be
Hmm.
considered um
Like
chiptune.
8-bit kind of.
8-bit, like Game Boy type
Uh-huh.
stuff, you know, like that kind of stuff. There's like a whole genre of music, and I thought it was like nothing. I thought it was like a super underground type of music, but it's not, because I looked it up on TikTok, and because sometimes I look at hashtags and I just see like how popular certain things are, and
Hmm.
particular genres of music, and chiptune is actually very popular with people on TikTok. So I learned something. I learned something through TikTok. It's awesome. And I think that another point with all that is that um, TikTok is, for anyone who's trying to target younger audiences, like TikTok
Definitely.
is a really great place to go. And there's like a really specific way of presenting your content on that platform,
Hmm.
but which I haven't fully figured out because I haven't had the time to really like focus on it because I'm doing all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But as I'm sure, as you know, if you present things in a certain way, in the right way,
Hmm.
you can blow up on TikTok, and it could really help your career.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
That's like really interesting. You're one of the first people that I've talked to or really heard try to exploit, like understand TikTok's importance. I'm not saying that there aren't artists out there that are just that put out a song and put it on TikTok, but their mindset isn't like yours. Like you're very like statistic driven, data driven, and the fact that TikTok is basically like you noticed it, and I want to say you're probably one of the first few or one of the first few artists that has been serious about actually pushing us like music on TikTok. So that's like that's really interesting that you're willing to understand it and just look at your music in a different light and push it on TikTok, because a lot of people they just do it just like messing around and somehow something happens and they're like, oh shit, I'm famous
yeah,
now, I guess. But like in your sense, like there's that's a great mindset to have, because a lot of artists should start following after you. Should start doing the whole thing, like doing the research, finding out what's popular, finding the statistic behind which songs on the hashtags or whatever it may be
yeah,
are popular. So
yeah.
yeah,
It makes a big difference for sure, and like that's happened to me too. Like I post 3 times a day on TikTok. Like I basically just chop up my YouTube videos and post it onto TikTok.
Mhm.
Um, and for the most part, I don't get like a huge audience. I get like little bits here and there, but there's certain videos out of nowhere that just explode
Mhm.
into like hundreds of thousands of views. So my account is being what's the word I'm looking for? It's being carried by maybe like 20 videos, and I posted like fucking 500 videos. So yeah, it's just a really interesting platform, and you never know when you're gonna blow up. Like there's so many people that just post like their first 5 posts, and one of them
Yeah.
just like explodes, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think it's one of the better platforms um, to get discovered.
Yeah. I mean, it's
And I
really
actually,
used.
I'll say one other
Oh,
thing
go
about
ahead.
it is that my buddy works for a like a marketing company, and he does marketing campaigns for artists and all that kind of stuff. And he
Mhm.
said he hasn't done so. Instagram for the past couple of years was like the main place where you would do
Yeah,
a campaign,
definitely.
right? So now that's switched to TikTok. He said I haven't done an Instagram campaign in like a few months. He said it's
Wow.
all on TikTok.
Wow. I mean, the
So it's
future.
interesting. Like
Yeah,
people need to go there.
definitely. Yeah, that's. I mean, times are changing. Like you always got to be open to change and being smart enough to manipulate and take advantage of that
Okay.
change. And I mean, you're one of the first people I've ever, like, to be completely honest, I've heard talk about that, which is really interesting and is
You should get on there.
maybe I don't know.
For
I've been
real, with the
skeptical
podcast.
about yeah. Oh, actually, that's a great idea. I don't know why we haven't done that.
You
I don't
should.
have one personally. I don't know. I kind of try to stay away from social media as much as possible, just because like
Okay.
yeah, I started, yeah, I was like in a pretty dark place back in like November or whatever, and I was just like, damn, social media kind of was just fueling it all. Like I was looking at
Okay.
things that were making me feel just kind of like I needed that. And then I was like, I don't really need that. I need what's right now in front of me. But I mean, yeah, to take advantage of the hype for the podcast. Yeah. Thank you for that suggestion. I'm definitely gonna take that to our team and see what they think of it. Um,
Yeah.
but was there a reason why you, because I know you mentioned the whole like the 8-bit sounding movement and everything. Is there a reason that you chose lo-fi? Is it just something that interested you, or were you always kind of following lo-fi?
It's been a progression. Like I had mentioned earlier, I was doing a lot of like commercial music, which is like ultra clean
Hmm.
and like ultra like um I think the best word to describe it is transparent, because you're there's a voice that's talking over it,
Yeah.
right? So you don't want it to get in the way for any reason, and so it has to be super clean and like in the background. And so lo-fi, it's kind of, it maybe was like a contrast to that in my life. And you could make it really dirty, or you could like change, you could
Hmm.
you could degrade the sound using different types of gears and all that kind of stuff. So it took me out of that like ultra clean mindset, and it brought me more into like the grittiness of all this new gear that I'm using, which kind of lends itself to lo-fi in general. And I just like vintage gear. I've been recently like 90s recording audio stuff. Like I'm really into that kind of gear now, and that really lends itself to lo-fi.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, going off of that point that you made talking about 90s gear, I mean, like if you really think about it, that was where like the like hip hop really started to get its progression, really started to hit its stride, and it
Yeah,
just like use instruments like that. I mean, it's fun. Like you're able to see like the history, and you're able to understand just why producers used it, and like the whole, like you're there, like I don't know how to describe it, but you're experiencing something from the past, but you're also like making music that is relevant today. um
that's it.
which is literally what your music sounds like. It's definitely, it is very relaxing. I'm not gonna lie. I was listening to it, like I've just been listening to it, and I'm just like, yeah, this is like homework music. Like you know the
Yeah, it's like chill.
the YouTube videos where they have like the 24-hour live stream or whatever. But yeah, it is really chill, and it, yeah, I can totally see how it is like a polar opposite of the clean cut like music
Yeah,
used in commercials, which
yeah, that's
yeah,
it.
that
And
would.
another thing about commercial music is that it's like everything has to be right away. So it's like, okay, we need a hook in the first 5 seconds,
Mhm.
and we need this and that. It's like all compact, but at the same time, it's transparent. It's like, and then you don't own it. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like they're like stripping your your rights as an artist, because you're selling your music to them, and then the company that you sell it to owns it,
Yeah.
and that's it. And like you no longer have ownership of this music. And like some people, that's fine for them, it works for them, and they're making money off of it, and like their tracks are getting placed in, big ads, so they're making
Mhm.
like royalties off of it.
Yeah.
So if you could do that, that's great. But it's like, for me, I wanted to be more involved and like actually own my music and create like a brand and all that kind of stuff.
Of course.
And I'm realizing that that's really important to me, like branding and like having a presence in a community and all that kind of stuff. Like for me, that's really just really important.
Yeah, of course, of course. I mean, I know a lot of small artists that fight just to not have a record deal because they want to own all their music.
That's it. Yeah.
And like when a small artist blows up and their music gets taken off of like streaming platforms, and you're like, where the hell did it go? It's like, oh, because that's their music. They can't put it on that label, or when they were with the label. Like there
That's
was
it.
like one of my favorite artists was an up and coming rapper, and he signed a deal, and all of a sudden his, like I had about like 3 or 4 of his albums prior to him signing, and they just disappeared, and they took them off of everything, Spotify, SoundCloud, because he can't post them if they're not to the label. And I totally get that. Yeah, you want to have creative freedom, and you want to have a say in everything that you come out with. Now,
Yeah.
building off of that, do you think that the insight that you got from just the business of making music for commercials, do you think that that basically kind of fueled you in the direction that you're going with YouTube and the music you create?
I would say it was definitely like the beginning of this whole journey, like the whole production journey. It is a great way to get your chops together as a producer, because you're required to compose like many different styles of music very quickly too. So it's like, you're put on the spot, and it's like you have to do this, and then you just have to figure it out. So I was using a lot of like software kind of stuff, like Logic Pro 10, and using a DAW and all that, which I still use a lot. Like it's always going to be a prominent part of my workflow. But yeah, and then in the past year, that's when I really started to pick up like external gear, and it really changed everything. It just changes your workflow, and it changes the way you think about music, especially when you're dealing with like this thing, the OP1. It's kind of like, how do I explain it? You could do anything with this. Like, it's a sequencer. It's you could like finger drum on it. You could do anything. You could program full tracks onto it. You could use it just as a synth if you want. And just having like a whole separate system, or like a whole separate workflow outside of your DAW, it just changed everything for the better. And that's kind of what stepped me into this, like I said, the lo-fi direction, because it just pulls you into that direction. At least for me, it did. Like, it's a very diverse instrument, but for me, it's just pulled me into that direction, and haven't gone back.
I mean, why would you? You're doing exactly what you love. You're making
That's
music, having fun doing it, teaching people while you're at it too, making numbers on TikTok. So like literally, yeah, I completely understand why that, like, I don't want to call it like a more so like a suits aspect, like a more formal, because it seems like that was a lot more formal, and it's literally like a direct opposite of what you're doing today. Because like you said, you had time limits, you're put on the spot, you had to perform, and if you didn't, then you're probably kind of like screwed for maybe a couple of the times, because people are like, oh, don't, like, he's not that reliable or whatever it may be. So yeah, that makes sense. You have a reputation you have to uphold, and to do this is a lot more fun. Like, you can make mistakes. You can like just be like, oh, well, I mean, I'm just doing it on YouTube, so even if I did make a mistake, like, I can fix it a little bit. I can point out like how I can fix this, or how this can be done differently. And yeah, you're on your own. So.
Yeah, that's it. And like, the importance now becomes more about your brand, right? So like, if the strength of your brand is number one. So it's like, it's not 100% about the music anymore. It's about how you present it. It's about your YouTube channel, like how clean all of your social media is. It's like all tied in together. And I just like that feeling of building something, not just creating music, but building like a brand, and maybe building from there, whatever else comes next.
Yeah, I mean, that is fun. I mean, you see, like, you're able to see yourself from the beginning, and you're like, I want to get to here, and you can see that growth. And I'm sure producing for commercials, and I'm sure that was fun and everything, and you learned a lot of great lessons. But yeah, you have to kind of, it's not like you stay completely stagnant, but it's like you can't grow a brand because you're making music kind of behind the scenes, and you're just letting it go. You're not able to hold on to it and being like, this is, I mean, yes, you could be like, this is mine, but it's like you don't own it, and there's not much you could really do about it. But I mean, like you said earlier, that's a great, if you know what you're doing and you're comfortable doing it, it's lucrative business. Like, you can make royalties off of it and everything.
It's whatever works for you. Like, I have a few friends who are doing really well with the stock music stuff. Like, they're killing it. And
you want to drop the commercials?
They're fine.
You want to see which commercials they're in? You want to see which commercials they're in?
Well, they've been hired, but their tracks have been used up by like the biggest companies around. Like, the way that these usually, like, these companies have like a social media guy, I guess, or like an editor, and that person will know like specific artists on these websites, and he'll be like, oh, this guy has a new track, I'm going to check it out. So if you get in with all the different editors, and they get to know who you are, then it's like you're set, and you're being placed on like giant companies. Like, I have one friend, he's really good with string music, like corporate string stuff, which is what you hear on every commercial. So like, when election season comes, he gets all these sales because of politics. Canadian politics, American politics. Like he's even like
Mr.
UK
Worldwide.
politics. Yeah, it's worldwide, and it's just constant for him. And so yeah, they both have their little niches that they're selling to, and that's it. And they're making like bank, these guys. So that's good for them.
Yeah, but you went down the direction where you're like, I want to be able to create freely, and I want to do my own thing, build my brand. And hey, you're doing your job, and you're really making moves. I mean,
yeah, that's it. It's like there's so many aspects of being a YouTuber, right? Like if you want to make it on YouTube, you have to do a lot of things, right? Like I'm gonna start selling merch, like fashion stuff, like the fashion stuff that you're into. I'm sure you think of that as well.
yeah.
What else? Like sample packs, all these like digital merchandise, all that kind of stuff. I'm starting an online course as well.
Oh, there you go.
Specifically for the OP1. Like I'm trying to start all these different things. And that's the only way, I think, with YouTube. Like unless you're getting an insane amount of views, which most people are not, you have to branch out and do a bunch of different things.
Definitely. And through that, I mean, it's take that step even further. Like you figure out like what you really like doing and what you maybe want to revise a little bit. Like,
yeah.
like you said, you're excuse me, you're trying to teach classes and you're trying to do that. So, I mean, you like, who knows, you might find out that you really like teaching, you really love passing on knowledge to the next generation or to whoever it may be that's learning. And you might find a gig making or teaching like production of different instruments or different production tools that you use. And then again, there's another step, like pushing you further to do what you love and to keep that as a passion of yours, but to also do it as a job.
That's
so
it.
That's a, yeah, you have a great mindset. You're open to a bunch of different things, and that's going to take you really far. I mean, you already know that. You've been doing this for a while.
I hope so.
I mean, it's just a matter of time, like you said. It's just a matter of time before that video on YouTube or that video on TikTok just pops. And I mean, with the stuff that you're doing and the reach that you have in the industry and in media and everything, it's only a matter of time. So, like, keep doing what you're doing, and all power to you, man.
Yeah, man, that's the way I'm thinking of it too. I'm just one day at a time and baby steps, and things are growing slowly, and that's all I could ask for at this point.
Yep, definitely. Well, I could chop it up with you all day. I've been having a great time talking about music industry, talking about production and creativity. But we're coming close to the end. I know you're a busy guy. You got to produce some music. You gotta teach some classes. You gotta do some research on TikTok. But I want to ask two. It's a last question. It's a two-part question, kind of. The first question is, what advice would you tell somebody who's starting up as a producer, an artist, or just a young creative? And if there's anybody that either you're working with or that you're listening to that you want to give like an extra platform, you're more than welcome to shout them
out. Advice for young people, for people that are just getting into music. I would say the best. I mean, depending on, it's a general question. So like, depending on which avenue you want to take, let's say you want to do something like what I'm doing, which is, or let's say you just want to put your music out and want people to hear your music. I would say, obviously, use social media, and just like post your music in as many places as you possibly can, and sort of obviously post what you want and post the music that you like to make, and also use the audience as for signals. They'll tell you which tracks are good and which just don't work. So that's a good reference point. And there's like a back and forth between the audience. Like the audience is, your viewers are really valuable to you in that sense. And I would say, instead of, one last thing about for people just starting, instead of reaching as many people as possible, focus on like a smaller group of people and really focus your attention on them. And that will attract more people. So like, if you focus on the people that you have, then it'll attract a bigger audience instead of just trying to get, focus on the bigger audience.
Yeah.
So those are the two things for that. And a shout out, I'm trying to think of someone to shout out right now. Okay, I'll shout out this guy. We've actually never met each other. but we just actually no. I'm gonna shout out my buddy Effa. So Effa is a drummer in LA, and he's somewhat present on social media as well. And we're actually going to be doing like a collaborative track specifically for Instagram. So we're in the midst of working on it and just like working out parts and all that. And that's the closest thing that I'm doing as a collaboration with someone else. So yeah, shout out to Effa.
Yeah, shout out. I'm looking forward to that track. Hearing like a live a drummer on that thing, I'm sure it's gonna pop. And I mean, hey, you're reaching towards Instagram, so you're doing something right again.
That's it.
But the point that you made about just finding an audience and just pleasing them, and because it'll go when people are really passionate about something like music, and they find an artist that they really care about. Like I do it myself too. Like I like, you just find your sound, you find who, like, you don't care about whatever anybody else is saying. Just do what you like, and you will find the right people, like you said. And that's a great piece of advice, because a lot of people try to tailor to everybody, and it's like, if you don't have a singular vision and a set focus on a singular sound, or even just a goal, you're just going to lose. You're going to lose your integrity, and you're going to become something that you didn't intend to become. And it may who knows, it might be a good thing, but for the most part, like it'll more than likely you'll lose your overall vision and what you wanted. So thank you so much.
There's this guy, his name is Stolen Drums. Have you heard of this guy, Stolen Drums?
I have not, no.
So he's a producer. He's like one of the biggest guys in the lo-fi world. He's like a DJ / producer, and he's got his hands in everything. He's like very busy. And he had some really cool advice. He said, if you could find 1,000 people that like your music, that's all you need. He said 1,000 people that are like, that really like your music and are dedicated to you as an influencer, then you're set for life. So that's some pretty good advice. And it's like, that's easier said than done, but the way he said it, it doesn't seem like it's that far off from being possible, 1,000 people. So it's like, yeah. So that's some good advice from him.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously are listening to that advice, and you're preaching it yourself too. So it's only a matter of time before that 1,000 people, figuratively speaking, puts you on and shares you to their friends and whoever they want to put on. But
that's it.
Again, thank you so much, Liam Killen, for coming out and just talking with me and letting the fans get to know a little bit about who you are as a producer and your background and everything. We appreciate it, and we at On the Rise Music are hoping for the best, and we know that the best will come for you.
Thank you,
guys. Don't forget to. Oh, excuse me.
I said it's been my pleasure. Thank you, Jake.
Oh, of course. We had a great time. Guys, don't forget to follow Liam Killen Music on Instagram. That's all in lowercase. Don't forget to check out his YouTube videos. And what's your YouTube channel?
It's just Liam Killen.
Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel, Liam Killen. Don't forget to listen to his music. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for our upcoming videos. Thank you, guys. Peace out.
See ya.